All right, so we're going to do these worksheets. We're going to do a couple of these together. All right, you do have a front and back. Make sure you realize that it is front and back. Okay, don't come in on Monday and say, I didn't realize there was anything on the back. I'm telling you right now, it is front and back. All right, so here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to go through just a couple of these problems from each worksheet. And then I'll let you work on it in class. And if you take advantage of your time in class, you should be able to finish it in class and not have any homework. So let's get through this pretty quick. Here we go. It says sketch the graph. Okay, so we are graphing. Oops, I got to change my writing thing right here. And let me change this. Okay, now I'm ready. So we are going to graph. So we start here at the y-intercept. Remember that? We did the stuff yesterday, right? A lot of the stuff yesterday. So it's just review, just to make sure you know how to do this. So we start right here at -2. So you come down here on the y-axis and you put a point right there at -2. Everybody can do that, right? Okay, where do we start here? Where do we put a point? At plus, what? 2? Plus 3. I thought you said plus 2. Plus 3 right there. Everybody got that? This is a little different. We'll talk about it in a second. What do we do here? What's the first thing we do? Put a 1 on the y-axis, put a dot. Okay, everybody see that? So when it's in slope-intercept form, okay, this is slope, intercept, I'll just shorten intercept to that form. When it's slope-intercept form, it's y equals mx plus b. B is the y-intercept. -2 is the y-intercept. That's where it crosses the y-axis. That's why I put a point right there. All right, what's this thing right here? Yeah, it's rise over run. Give me a word, one single word. It's the slope, right? It's the slope, right? And how do you find the slope? Now you can say it. It's the rise over the run. So where do you go? You start here and you go up 7, right? So you go up 7. Do you go to the number 7? No, you go up 7 places. So start counting. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We don't put a dot yet. We still have to do what? We got to run. So we go to the right. It's a +2. Positive is to the right. We already did the -2. Okay. This right here is the run. This is our rise. We rose 7. We ran 2. The y-intercept is -2. Everybody got that? And then we just connect them. Easy as that. And that's your graph. That's all you have to do. If you want, you can put arrows on the ends. Not going to be super picky on that, but technically, yes, you should put arrows because it keeps on going forever and ever. All right, let's do this one real quick. We'll do like the first 3 here. Actually, here's another one. What do we do here? Do this one first. What's that? It's our y-intercept, isn't it? So I put a point at +3. All right. What's the slope of this one? It's a little different looking than the first one. That's right. It's -6 over 1. All right, because you got to have a run, and the run would be 1. Would you agree -6 over 1 is the same as just -6? Yeah. So where do we start? The y-intercept. Where do we go? Up or down? Down how many? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we run what? To the right. Yep, 1 to the right. Good. All right, because you got a -6, +1. That's why we run to the right. What do we do with those 2 points? Connect them, and then that's it. This couldn't be easier, could it? I guess it could be easier, but this is pretty easy. Everybody got this? Yeah, this should be stuff that you should be able to get. And we had a big talk yesterday about it, but I said that it's super important because you're going to use that. You're going to use it a little bit later on in this book, okay? We're going to have to know how to graph things, okay? Not just in this section. This is not the only place where we're ever going to do this. Even next year in Algebra 2, you're going to do a ton of this in Algebra 2. So I want you to show up to your Algebra 2 class next year, and when your teacher says, okay, what's the slope-intercept form? You say, oh, it's y equals mx plus b. Oh, that's the b is the y-intercept, and the m is the slope, rise and run. All that stuff. It should just be like that, shouldn't it? All right? You should be able to do that. So make me proud next year when you take Algebra 2 and you know how to do these things, because you will. You absolutely 100% will have to do this stuff next year. All right, let's do this one. This doesn't have an x in it at all, does it? It just has y equals just a number. We talked about this yesterday as well. What kind of line? I think we did. I know in one of my classes. Did we do it in both classes? Okay. So this is what kind of a line? If it's just y equals a number. Didn't I talk about this yesterday? It's a horizontal line. Okay. What's horizontal? What does that mean? Do it with your hands. What's horizontal? This way, right. This is horizontal. What's this way, up and down? That's vertical, okay? So when it's y equals just a number, there's no x. Everybody see that? It's just y equals a number. When it looks like that, it's going to be a horizontal line, and what it's going to do, it's going to go through the y-axis, where? Where? At -5, okay? Here's the y-axis. What do? Put a point at -5. You don't even have to put the point there, but I'll put a point at -5. It's a horizontal line, so I just started here, and there it is. So there's your graph. Well, I said the other one couldn't be any easier. I think I was wrong. Don't you? Don't you think this is easier? Yeah, I think this is easier. So yeah, this is easier. A lot of kids get mixed up on this. All right, a lot of students mess up on this. It's very simple as long as you know that it goes through the y-axis. That means it's a horizontal line that goes through the y-axis at -5. Everybody understand? Let's do one more, and then I'll switch to the other worksheet. Now, if y equals a number is a horizontal line, Josh, tell me, what's x equal? What kind of line? Okay, it's vertical, and it goes through the x-axis. That's correct. Josh. What about it? It's just like the first one we did. Yeah, it does. And you're right. And you don't, but you could do this. Watch. If you wanted to stay within the graph, you see what Josh said? You start here, but then you're going to count up 6, right? Rise over run. If I count up 6, I'm off the graph, aren't I? You could, if you wanted to, do what? Make this negative and make that negative. Could you do that? What's negative over negative? It's positive. Isn't -6 over -5 the same thing as +6 over +5? So I could, just to keep it on the graph, I could do what? I could go down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then run what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. Does that put you at the same spot as if I went up? Yeah, because 7 would be about right there, wouldn't it? And then you go over what? So, you go over 5. That would be about right there, I'm estimating. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Does that still line up with the other one? Yeah, it absolutely does. So you can do that, can't you? I mean, you could go off the graph if you didn't have to go too far off the graph. All right, and then that's what that would look like. So that was a good question. Because we want to kind of stay on the graph, don't we? All right, it was a little trick. Let's go back to this one. We'll do some more. What about this one? It's a vertical line. So it's a vertical line that goes through what? The x-axis where? At 5, at +5. So here's the x-axis. Here's +5. What kind of line are we going to draw? A vertical line. So a line that goes up and down. Okay? Everybody got that? Yeah, super easy. You just got to keep them straight. You got to know that x equals something is a vertical line. What's an easy way to remember that? Well, an easy way to remember that is it goes through, the vertical line goes through what? The x-axis, okay, at 5. You see it? That's how you can remember. How do you know if this is horizontal or vertical? Well, the line goes through what? The y-axis at -5. So the line's going to look like this. All right. I think the rest of them are pretty much the same. All right. Most of them are like this. All right. So I'll let you do the rest of those, but I want to do the other worksheet as well. Okay. Yeah. Somebody asked about that in the other class. Let's talk about that. I don't have that. It is. So I don't have that on the screen right here, but I'll write it down. Yeah.
if there's a negative like below 9, is there a negative and then 1/3, like right in the middle? Is that just like,
You could put it on the top or the bottom. It doesn't make any difference. Just don't put them on both, because that would make it positive. All right, everybody, look at this. This is number 7. Okay, I don't have that worksheet on the screen, but this is what it says: y equals 5/3 x, and it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have a y-intercept. So if it doesn't have a y-intercept, what do you think the y-intercept is? It's 0, right? It's going to be at the origin. You're right. So if it doesn't have anything, you could write plus 0. Let's just graph it right here. So what would you do? You'd put right there, and then go up 5, go over 3, connect them, boom, there it is. Piece of cake. Yes. Yes.
Come up together.
All right, let's do the other one. Let's do the other worksheet. This is a little bit trickier, okay? You're going to end up doing the same thing that you just did, okay, with that first worksheet. But this one, look at the difference. It doesn't give it to you y equals mx plus b, does it? So what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to turn this in to this. So what are we going to have to do? Let's do number 1. I got to get y by itself. We did this yesterday. I have to get y by itself. What do I need to get rid of? That's 7x. How do I get rid of that 7x? I subtract it from both sides. So I subtract the 7x. I subtract the 7x. All right, so the 7x cancels right here. So what am I going to have? I got y equals. Now, that's it. You got it. This is what we talked about yesterday. I don't want to write it 5 minus 7x because I want the x to go first, don't I? I want the slope and the x to go first, the y-intercept, the number that's just by itself, I want that to go on the end. So I want the 5 to go on the end, and I want that negative 7x to go first. So I'm going to write negative 7x plus 5. It's the same exact thing as this, but it's in the right order now. It just makes more sense. Now, once we've done that, we just had to do one little step. I just had to subtract that 7x from both sides. Once I've done that, now I can graph it just like I did the other ones we talked about today. So let's do this very quickly. Okay, y-intercept is 5. The slope is what? Negative 7 over 1. So I'm going to go down 7. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I run 1 right there. Connect them, and I've got my line. And there it is. Okay, put arrows on the ends, and that's your graph right there. But you needed this, okay? You needed that to be able to graph it. So that's what we're going to do. Every one of these, almost every one of these, you're going to get y by itself. Let's do one that's a little bit more involved. It's only one step more involved, okay? It's only 2 steps before you graph it. So, again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get y by itself. Why are we trying to get y by itself? Because that's our formula, right? Y equals mx plus b. Y is by itself. That's what I'm trying to do. All right, so let's get rid of what's with the y. Well, there's a couple things with that. There's that 5, and then there's this 3x. Which one am I going to get rid of first?
3x.
The 3x, just like I did over here. I got rid of that 7x. I'm going to get rid of the 3x. Okay, so how do I get rid of the 3x? Minus 3x, good. And then minus 3x. That cancels. What do I have left? I've got 5y equals, how am I going to write this? Well, not yet. Not yet. I need to rewrite this.
No, it's negative 3x plus 5.
Yeah, well, it's not plus 5. Okay, somebody in the other class said 8, and I know why you're saying 8. Because negative 5, negative 3 is negative 8. But can you add them together?
No.
Rob, why not? Because they're not like what? They're not like terms, okay? So you can't add those together. This has an x with it, that doesn't. You cannot add them together. Only thing you can do is this. Negative 3x, what? Minus 5. Why did I put minus 5? Because you had a negative right there, okay? It's a negative 5, minus 5. That's the hardest part of this whole problem, I think, to tell you the truth, is just getting rid of the 3x and then putting this in the right order, okay? You see, we just switched the order, didn't we, of those two? That's all I did. No big deal. I got one more thing to do, though. I got to get y by itself. What do I have to get rid of now? The 5. How do I get rid of that 5? Do I subtract it? Why do I divide it? Because it's being multiplied, I do the opposite. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. Now, I don't just get rid of it like that, and that's equal to negative 3x minus 5. I got to do it to everything. So I divide this by a 5, and I divide this by a 5 as well. Got to divide both of these things by that 5. Aren't you glad you learned your algebra at the beginning of the year? Yeah? Some of you are like, oh, I didn't really learn it. I don't know how to do it now. But I think some of you did. I think it was helpful. Does anybody think it was helpful at the beginning of the year? Yeah. I warned you, didn't I, that we were going to use it a lot? Have we been using the algebra a lot? Absolutely, okay? So here we go. Let's write it real nice and pretty. Y equals, how are we going to write this? I'm going to write it as a fraction, negative 3/5. And then see that x? I just put it right out in front like that. Or behind, whatever you want to call it. Put it right in the middle. You see it? It's not on the top. It's not on the bottom. It's just right in the middle. And then what's the rest of it? What's this going to be? What is it? Just a 1? Negative 1. Minus 1. Okay? It's important. Very super important that you always put the signs in front of it. So now, this is what we're going to graph. So we did 2 steps, didn't we? What was our first step? Subtract 3x. Yeah? I don't even consider this a step, just switching the negative 3x and the minus 5. But then what was the second step? Dividing both sides by 5. 2 steps, you're ready to graph. It should be super easy now once you get it into this form. So it's going to be minus 1 and then negative 3 over 5. So you could, watch, you could go negative 3 over 5, or you could go 3 what? Over, not 5. Because remember, this is a negative 3/5. So you could go 3 over negative 5. Either way you want to do it. I'll do it both ways just to show you it works. Everybody with me? All right, so let's do it the first way. Let's go negative 3, rise and run. Rise negative 3 means I go down 3, 1, 2, 3. And I run positive 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. Or I could go rise 3, run negative 5. Do you think it'll still fit on that line? Let's see if it does. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. Sure enough, look at it. It lines up perfectly, doesn't it? Right there and right there. All right, we're going to put arrows on it, and there's our graph. That's all there is to it. That's pretty much everything you need to know to be able to do these worksheets. And I said this was over. Yeah, well, we got a late start because chapel got out a little late. You only got 6 minutes, but at least you got 6 minutes. Let's try to work on it, get as much of this done as you possibly can. That first worksheet, you should be able to do that super quick. Okay, this one, yeah, you might have to do a little bit of algebra. Once you get that, then graphing it shouldn't be an issue at all. All right, so this is going to be due when we come back from the break, all right, which is December 2nd. All right, so it's Monday, December 2nd. So next week, somebody in the last class asked me, oh, we got off next week? I'm like, yeah. I thought every student would at least have that on their calendar. All right, well, we have off from Monday to Friday of next week. All right, the whole entire week next week. All right, we come back the following Monday, December 2nd. And we only have 2 weeks before you take the midterms. All right, we got the week we come back. The week after that is technically study week, but we're not going to take the whole week just to study for the midterm. What do you think is going to be on the midterm? The tests and quizzes. Did we already say that in here? Okay, I couldn't remember if it was the other class or this class. But yeah, the tests and quizzes are going to be on the midterm. So we'll take a day or two to go over that. So everybody should be ready to go. It's a short marking period, isn't it? So every little thing counts. All right, so make sure. Talked about the homework earlier, right? Getting it in by Monday, at least for partial credit. So, but this is going to be due on Monday. Both worksheets, okay? Both worksheets are going to be due on Monday. And the stuff that I assigned from the book, what was this? Section 3.5, is that what it was? I think, was there an A and B? Yes? Okay, those are going to be due on Monday as well. All right, so make sure all that's done. Yes, sir.
What about
Okay, we talked about it in the other one.
The four's
Same
a
thing.
Y.
Yeah, it's the same exact
Four's
thing.
a Y.
3 and 5 are the same thing we talked about in the other worksheet, all right? Because you don't have to get y by itself. It's already by itself. So it's a horizontal line that goes through 4, right? And what about this one down here, number 5? It's a vertical line that goes through -3 on the x-axis. Well, yeah, y is horizontal. Okay, and so what do? We put a 4 where? On the y-axis. And so what kind of line are we going to have now? We're going to have a vertical line, or a horizontal line, get you confused, horizontal line like this. All right, that should be super easy to do. Would you agree? X equals -3. What do? On the x-axis, see? On the x-axis, I put a point at -3. And what kind of line am I going to have? A vertical line that goes through the x-axis at -3. So those only took just seconds to do, all right? If you know if it's horizontal or vertical, so make sure you know which is what. Yes, sir. On the first or second worksheet? The second worksheet, number 7. All right, let me take a look at it. All right, well, you just got to get y by itself. So how do you get, it's x plus y equals 3. So this is number 7. I don't have it on the screen, but I'll write it down. X plus y equals 3. So you want to put this in the slope-intercept form, right? So you got to get y by itself. So what do you get rid of? The x. How do you get rid of it? Subtract it. So what's it going to be? Y equals what? -x plus 3. Let me just graph that. How do you graph it? Well, what's the y-intercept? Well, not x equals 1, but the slope is what? It's not 1, because there's no number in front of the x, but there is one. There's always a number in front of an x. What's the number always in front of an x if you don't see a number? It's a 1. But this is not just a 1, it's a what? It's a -1. So it's -1 what? Over 1. Or if you wanted to, you could write it what? 1 over -1. Okay? So you do the y-intercept first. I'll just do it on this graph. And then the slope is -1 over 1. So -1 over 1. Everybody see it? Or if you wanted to, you could go +1, go up, and then run as -1, go to the left. Do they still line up? Absolutely. Everybody got it? Then you connect them, no big deal. All right. Have that done. You should be able to, it should only take you just a handful of minutes, okay, to finish this up and have it, and it's due on Monday when we get back. Okay, enough of that.